of the Omer. The end times prophecy of the third seal and the counting of the Omer is seen in the book of Revelation. The prophecy of the third seal and the measure of bread for the offering of the end times and the famines of the world for those who do not accept the offer from the Most High. In the book of Revelation, chapter 6, verse 5 and 6, it says, "And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine." There are 2 witnesses in the scriptures to give you understanding of this prophecy, that the law may be fulfilled. In the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 19, verse 15, it says, "One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity, or for any sin, in any sin that he sinneth. At the mouth of 2 witnesses, or at the mouth of 3 witnesses, shall the matter be established." The first witness that we look at about the Lord's promise in the book of Revelation is found in the book of Ezekiel with his bread of wheat and barley. Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 9 and 10. We see that Ezekiel's given a bread measure for a duration of days, just like the church in the end times. "Take thee also unto thee wheat and barley and beans and lentils and millet and fitches, and put them in one vessel, and make thee bread thereof according to the number of days that thou shalt lay upon thy side. 390 days shalt thou eat thereof. And thy meat which thou shalt eat shall be by weight, 20 shekels a day, from the time to time shalt thou eat it." Ezekiel here was told that he would eat bread by measure of wheat and barley according to the number of days. And this will become clear why this is spoken in the end times during the third seal about the wheat and the barley. And the second witness of the prophecy of the end times is found in the book of Exodus. The manna on the Exodus was offered to be gathered daily and had a measure for the people of God. Exodus chapter 16, verse 15 and 16. "And when the children of Israel saw it, they said one to another, It is manna, for they wist not what it was. And Moses said unto them, This is the bread which the Lord hath given you to eat. This is the thing which the Lord hath commanded. Gather of it every man according to his eating, an omer for every man according to the number of your persons. Take ye every man for them which are in his tents." Manna was to be measured as an omer for a day for each man. And this omer is a daily ration for each man. And remember that it's 1/10 of an ephah, according to the scripture. Exodus chapter 16, verse 36. "Now an omer is the 10th part of an ephah." And they were given manna by measure in the wilderness on the Exodus to test them whether or not they would keep the law of God. Exodus chapter 16, verse 4. "Then said the Lord unto Moses, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them whether they will walk in my law or no." And this is a prophecy of the end times Exodus and the church in the wilderness when she goes out to Petra, whether she will keep the law or no, the test, the proving, and the bread that she will be offered. And bread will rain down from heaven as it's dropped in crates by measure for those in the wilderness in the end times. The bread will rain down from heaven, being airdropped into the camp. Revelation chapter 12, verse 6 talks about the Exodus. "And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days." And this is just like the Exodus prior, where you see that the woman's given eagle's wings to go out into the wilderness. Revelation chapter 12, verse 14. "And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent." Yes, to test them with the manna in the wilderness, the measure of bread, of wheat and barley, to see whether or not that she will keep the law of God or no, just like the time of the Exodus prior. Revelation chapter 12, verse 17 talks about this. "And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandment of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. But before the gathering to Jerusalem and before the exodus out into the wilderness, let us look at the counting of the Omer for the day's preparation before that Pentecost occurs, when the outpouring of the Spirit is poured out, and the counting of the Omer for those 49 days. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 15 and 16. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord. So the counting of the Omer led to the 50th day, where the Spirit was poured out on Jerusalem and all the nations that heard the gospel. Just like when Christ was with them for the 40 days and he told them to wait a little longer at Jerusalem until the Spirit would be poured out. It was during the counting of the Omer, in preparation for the Pentecost, where the prophesying and the preaching would occur that all nations would hear. Acts chapter 1, verse 3. To whom also he shewed himself alive after his passion by many infallible proofs, being seen of them 40 days, and speaking of the things pertaining to the kingdom of God. Christ was there for those 40 days in the counting of the Omer. Acts chapter 1, verse 4. And being assembled together with them, commanded them that they should not depart from Jerusalem, but wait for the promise of the Father, which saith he, ye have heard of me. And this is the prophetic foreshadow of the promise of the sealing of the 144,000 that tarry at Jerusalem, waiting for the promise of the Father in the end, before the Exodus into the wilderness, where they will get the bread, the manna, wheat, and barley for those 1,260 days out in the wilderness that gets dropped down from heaven. They may test it and be proven to see whether or not they will keep the law of God or no. Revelation chapter 7, verse 4. And I heard a number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Let's go to that promise of that manna for the end times that Christ has promised. Do you doubt? You doubt? You doubt that this woman will be fed in the wilderness? Manna? Watch. Revelation chapter 2, verse 17. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of hidden manna, and will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name written, that which no man knoweth, saving he that receiveth it. We see hidden manna offered here. And what was the hidden manna measured by? It was measured by an omer, right, for the Exodus? And remember, the omer is a tenth of an ephah. Exodus chapter 16, verse 36. Now an omer is the 10th part of an ephah. And an ephah is 20 quarts. This means an omer is 2 quarts. Exodus omer of manna for every man during their daily ration was 2 quarts, which is an omer. Exodus chapter 16, verse 16. This is the thing which the Lord hath commanded. Gather of it every man according to his eating. An omer for every man according to the number of your persons. Take ye every man for them which are in his tents. And we know that Ezekiel had a daily ration for those number of days of wheat and barley. Watch this. Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 9. Take thou also unto thee wheat and barley. You see that? And beans and lentils and millet and fitches, and put them in one vessel, and make thee bread thereof, according to the number of the days that thou shalt lie upon thy side. 390 days shalt thou eat thereof. So we see both the daily ration of the omer of the manna and the daily ration of wheat and barley are seen with Ezekiel and in the Exodus. These are 2 different types of foreshadows. Now, with the counting of the omer leading up to Jerusalem, and knowing that the omer is 2 quarts, okay? Watch this. We're looking for hidden manna now. And we know that the manna is measured by an omer for the Exodus, right? Watch this. In the book of Revelation, chapter 6, verse 5 and 6, it talks about the denarius, which is a day's wage, okay? And it gives 2 different measurements. And in the word for the measure, it's called a quart, which is choinix. It's a dry measure of a quart in the Greek, choinix. This literally means quarts. Now watch the measure of this in the counting of this omer. Revelation chapter 6, verse 5 and 6 in the ESV. When he opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, "Come." And I looked, and behold, a black horse, and its rider had a pair of scales in his hand. And when I heard what seemed to be a voice in the midst of the four living creatures. Who is the voice in the midst of the four living creatures? It's the Lamb of God who gives the measure of the wheat. Listen. He says, quote, "A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and the wine." And we see right here that a quart of wheat for a denarius and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius. Now let's look at this. We see that the writer has measuring balances in his hand. So he's measuring. And he's saying, hey, this measure of a quart of wheat for a denarius and 3 measures, right, for a denarius of barley. So what does this mean? Let's look at this. Revelation chapter 6, verse 5, it says he had a pair of scales in his hand. And what is he measuring by? He's measuring by a Roman denarius, which is a Roman soldier's daily wage, which is 1 denarius. So if you have 1 day's ration and 1 day's wage, you have 1 denarius to buy your bread. You ready for this? A quart of wheat for a denarius. This denarius, the Roman soldier daily wage, is a daily ration. Now watch carefully with this. The measure and the balances of the third seal. 1 denarius for 3 measures of barley, and 1 denarius for a measure of wheat. And that word for the measure is choinix, which is a quart. This means it would be 1 denarius for 3 quarts of barley, and it would be 1 denarius for 1 quart of wheat. And this is the measure of Ezekiel's bread, right? And this measure is likened unto wheat and barley, just like the promise of the measurements for the numbers of days for Ezekiel. And it's also the measurement for the wages of the daily ration for the Exodus and the Omer of the manna. Now watch this. So thus, if you only had a day's labor of a wage of a denarius, that means you have 1 daily ration for your daily labor, that's 1 day's ration, that means you would get 1 measure, which is an Omer, okay, of 2 quarts. And this is proven when you look to the division on the scales. The rider on the horse is just telling you how much bread you can buy for 1 denarius. You can get 3 quarts of barley for 1 denarius, or you can get 1 quart of wheat for 1 denarius. So what happens if you split that in half? If you take half of a denarius and get 1.5 quarts of barley, and half of a denarius and you get half a quart of wheat, that means you would have 2 quarts of barley and wheat, which means that would give you 1 omer of wheat and barley. That's 1 day's labor, a daily ration of 1 omer of wheat and barley to make bread, the amount given for the manna in the Exodus. So 1 denarius, you would get 1 omer, a half quart of wheat, and 1.5 quart of barley, making 2 quarts together, and a mix of barley and wheat being 1 omer for the daily ration, which means the hidden manna promised is barley and wheat of 2 quarts of 1 omer. That's the hidden manna promised for the end times. It's the hidden manna. 1 measure of omer is 2 quarts. Therefore, 1.5 quart of barley plus half a quart of wheat for 1 denarius makes your Ezekiel bread for 1 omer for a daily ration. The same as Ezekiel and the same as the prophecy of the Exodus of Moses and the manna for the end times. Thus, it is the hidden measure of manna promised by Christ. Revelation chapter 2, verse 17. He hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the hidden manna. And will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name written, which no man knoweth, saving he that receiveth it. And that stone is what gathers the tribes. There was 12 stones with 1 name on each of the stones for the 12 tribes that gathered them for the Exodus. And in the end times, we have 1 stone for all the tribes with 1 name, my people, for those who could receive it. And the tribes of the Pashtu Taliban, Yusufzai, are a measure of wheat which will be brought. Yes, the tribe of Joseph. The tribe of Joseph is a measure of wheat that will be brought for the end times. Yusufzai, Pashtu, Taliban, you are the tribe of Joseph, the wheat and measure that will be brought. Joseph in the prophecy, in the dream of the end times. Joseph in the dream of the wheat.
Genesis chapter 37, verse 5. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and also stood upright, and behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words.
The tribe of Joseph and his wheat. The tribe of Yusufzai of the Pashtu Taliban. You are the tribe of Joseph. And the Lord has called you to come and bring a measure of wheat for the end times. 12,000 war-age men to protect the tribe of Joseph, mentioned in the book of Revelation, to gather the wheat for the end times. The book of Revelation, chapter 7, verse 4. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. 12,000 of the tribe of Yusufzai, the Lord has called you to come and bring the people for the gathering. Revelation chapter 7, verse 8. And of the tribe of Zabulon were sealed 12,000. And of the tribe of Joseph were sealed 12,000. And of the tribe of Benjamin were sealed 12,000. And for those who refuse to bring your wheat, and those who refuse to accept the offer of the manna, the bread for the end times, for the gathering, if you reject that bread offering, the Lord's going to break the staff of bread and bring hunger famines upon you. You have a choice. Either accept the hidden manna that is offered by the Lord, bring your wheat, or the staff of bread will be broken for you and you will eat your children. You have a choice. The Lord has offered you mercy and told you to come, to test and prove whether or not you will keep his law. Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 16 and 17. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight, and with care, and they shall drink water by measure, and with astonishment, that they may want bread and water, and be astonied one with another, and consume away for their iniquity. Those who refuse to come and gather for the Exodus, that refuse the bread offering of the barley and the wheat from the Lord, the staff of bread will be broken, and you will have famines and dearths throughout your lands for those 1260 days as the rain is withheld. But the Lord offers you bread, and the Lord offers you water, that you may learn and be proven that you will keep his law or no in the Exodus. The hidden manna that is offered unto you, the wheat and the barley, the measure of 1 omer of 2 quarts of bread that is on the writer's scales, that is offered unto you. And this is the prophecy of the Omer,